All right. 11 minutes past 3 p.m. Today, the 19th day in November 2019. This is Wells Radio, your preferred wholesome radio. Yes, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Bola Ayola.
And I'm Ibukun Blessed Oyedemi.
All right, and together we're on this exclusive interview.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to members of the TotalChild Children and Teens Network. It's an NGO. Okay, they'll be telling us more about the NGO. But in the meantime, today is November 19. It's World Day for the Prevention of Child Abuse. In year 2000, the Women's World Summit Foundation, that's WWSF, it's an NGO as well, they launched the World Day for Prevention of Child Abuse on November 19, year 2000. Okay, this is because child abuse is a very serious situation. It's something that happens. Sometimes it even happens without us knowing that, this is what is going on. And so these people are here. They stand for the child, the girl child, the boy child, and, stand for children. Because there are statistics, very alarming statistics. I have here, in 2004, an estimated 3 million children were alleged to have been victims of physical, sexual, verbal, and emotional abuse. Also, we have the likes of neglect, abandonment, death, and so many other things. And so we have Mr. CYRIL ISI and Miss Justina Odege on the show with us today. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, thank you for joining us on the show today. But can you do, a proper introduction of yourselves and also the NGO? We can start with Mr. CYRIL.
All right, my name is CYRIL ISI. I'm the director of TotalChild Children and Teens Network. TotalChild Children and Teens Network is an NGO that was established in 2011 to provide support services to children and teenagers. We work to help to develop the child spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So what we basically do, apart from working with children in the church setting, we go to schools, we go to orphanage homes, we go to any place we can find children and teenagers to talk to them on issues that borders on health, education, anything that has to do with the child. So we are here today to talk about the issue of child abuse, but most especially sexual child abuse.
Okay, let's get with you, Miss Justina Odege.
All right.
What is child abuse?
Child abuse is basically the exploitation of children, using them in ways that should not be, maltreating, manhandling, mistreating, everything that should not happen to a child.
All right, so that's what child abuse is. Now, from what I got from what you said, there are different types of child abuse.
Sure.
Okay, let's have them.
We have the physical abuse, we have the sexual abuse, then we have the psychological abuse. So those are the three key parts. The psychological abuse has to do with the emotional aspects, like verbal abuse and the likes. Then the sexual abuse, then the physical abuse, which has to do with beating and maltreating the child. So basically there are three aspects of child abuse: the physical aspects, the sexual aspects, then the psychological aspects.
Let's talk about the physical aspect of child abuse. Parents, punishing their children. Let's put it that way, because this is an African setting. This is Nigeria. Parents beating their children. At what point does it become child abuse?
Okay, it becomes abuse, it becomes physical abuse when injuries is being inflicted on the child. No, we are in a setting where you can correct a child.
Okay.
Normally, you should correct the child. Even the Bible says you should spare not the rod. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. But there's an extent to which you can go. You understand, when correcting the child. If you have to use cane, for example, and you inflict injury on the child, it becomes abuse. No matter the crime the child must have committed. Don't mind you, it's a child. So there's every tendency that they can do foolish things. But when you are correcting, you correct to an extent that you don't inflict injury on the child. There are some people that try to correct child, they pour hot water on the child. trying to correct the
That's
child.
not correcting anymore.
That is not correcting. They say the child has been stealing. They've won the child and won the child and won the child, and the child refuses to stop. So they want to do something that will leave a mark on the child. So when the child remember it, he will not do the thing again. But that is actually wrong. So when it gets to the extent of inflicting injury, it becomes physical abuse.
And that's for physical abuse. Let's talk about psychological abuse, Miss Justina. What is psychological abuse? Child psychological abuse.
Basically, it's more like an emotional torture of a child, and doing things to a child that you know will impact negatively on the mental well-being of a child. Maybe as you're talking about maybe physically punishing a child. There are sometimes when you're spanking, you can see maybe a child is really afraid, scared, and emotionally it can damage a child. And trying to use maybe extreme means of punishment on a child, apart from maybe spanking, sending the child to bed without dinner, trying to as a form of discipline, withholding affection, withholding food, withholding care of any sort to punish a child. It can affect a child emotionally.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room: child sexual abuse. I call it the elephant in the room because it's really rampant these days. I think just recently, a particular state, I think that's Kaduna State or so, they have, said that there's a death penalty for anyone who, commits child sexual abuse. I know that in another country, the punishment for child sexual abuse, although I'll say that's for female, child sexual abuse, is castration. Okay, so but let's get the definition out there. What is child sexual abuse?
Okay, child sexual abuse has to do with any kind of sexual acts between an adult and a minor, or between a minor and a minor. A minor in this case is anybody that is below 18 years. When you have a sexual act, mind you, the sexual act could also be, it could be touching sexual act or non-touching sexual act. Now, when there is that sexual act between an adult and a minor, or a minor and a minor, whereby one uses force on the other one to gain sexual gratification or financial gratification from the sexual act, we say it is child sexual abuse.
All right, now going through your book, you dropped this book, Child Sexual Abuse, and it's written by you. Yeah, so there are a couple of things right here that you've listed out. So I want to ask now that for people that don't have this book, or for people that have not read this book before, now there's something here. It says, what are the myths and facts about child sexual abuse? Can you expatiate on that a little?
There are some people that have developed some kind of ideology that are wrong, or concepts that are wrong when it comes to child abuse. You have the ones that can say, okay, boys cannot be abused sexually.
Yeah, okay.
You understand? That is a myth. Now, you have the ones that say, okay, a child below 6 years, someone cannot actually abuse a child below 6 years. I had someone once saying to me that, how can you imagine somebody sexually abusing a child of 6? Is it possible? You understand? The person was just saying it with all seriousness. That is his own belief. But there are people that actually abuse children 2 years. Babies.
Yeah.
You understand? So those are some of the minds that we have, misconception. You understand? People still feel that children cannot really be abused as such, and there are so many wrong concepts. So the book actually try to correct this misconception about child sexual abuse and put the record straight. If you go through the book, we have facts. Most of the information that there are facts and figures to explain what it actually entails, the magnitude of child sexual abuse, the consequence, and how it can be prevented.
All right, now still talking about child sexual abuse, we know that in the African setting, let me bring it down home again. In the African setting, when you hear that a child has been sexually abused, and most times maybe by a relative, or by a neighbor or somebody close to the family, we tend to hear, oh, let's keep it,
so that other
in the
people
family.
Yes.
Let's not spoil the family name. Now, what things like this, what does it do to the child?
The effect it has on the child is very destructive. I'm just coming from a seminar where I went to discuss with the students in the school on child sexual abuse. And a child actually raised this question. The same question you were asking. A child in the school raised the question. In a case where I report to my mother that my father is sexually abusing me, and my mother said I should keep quiet, what should I do? No, that was the exact question the child asked. There should be a continuous reporting. It has, you asked me what is the effect. It has a lot of effects on the child. Physical effects and psychological effects. That child is prone to depression because of the psychological effects attached to it. This one is somebody close. My father
Trusted
now, or
person.
very trusting person. You understand? So the child will begin to ask, why is my father doing this to me? You understand? It damaged a whole lot of things. That the scar that the thing will leave on the child, it will take the grace of God for it to be healed.
Yeah, and that's just even the starting point or the beginning of what can actually happen to that child.
Yes.
Because growing up, we know that that child can just grow up to become a prostitute, or just since my father is doing this.
And even stay away from men and say, I can never get married.
That's another one. Yeah.
You understand? I can never have anything to do with the male folks because of that incident.
All right, now let's quickly move away from sexual abuse and go back to physical abuse. There's a video trending or a particular story trending on Instagram and Twitter of a woman who poured hot water on the hands of, I think, her maid.
Yeah, a maid.
There was another video one time of a woman who locked maybe the niece or the nephew or maid up inside the doghouse.
Yes.
I think that one has been arrested now.
Yes.
She has been arrested, but I've not followed up that story to know what eventually happened to her. She has been arrested, and that's the last I heard about it.
Lagos State government.
Yes. Now, what are the things we have in place in Nigeria as regards child abuse? Laws, decrees. What are some of the laws that protect children against abuse in Nigeria?
Okay, we have the child rights law that protects the child against child sexual abuse. Then we also have the one that states that any kind of sexual act against a child by an adult is a crime that is punishable by law, and if prosecuted and the accused is found guilty, is liable to lifetime imprisonment. That one is. But you know one thing about the laws we have in Nigeria. One, we have the issue of people not coming out to see their victims. You understand? And we have victims, the few ones that will come out to say, I'm a victim, they will twist the arm of the law. The person will not, the accused will not get prosecuted. You understand? But we actually have, in Nigeria, we have the child rights, the child heart rights that protect the child from child sexual abuse.
Now, we have these laws, but then, we have a hard time enacting some of these laws. We have laws that are supposed to protect children, but in the reality, they are not protecting children. And so we have NGOs, we have foundations that are, there with the aim of helping these children and also helping to protect them. Now, how does your NGO help? Okay, let's just imagine that an abused child, walks up to the TotalChild
organization.
Yes. How can you help the person?
Now, once we get a case reported, we try to do an underground investigation first. But we have lawyers that we work with. You understand? And we have about 2 police officers that works with our NGO too. So once we find out the facts, and it happens that it's truth that the child is being abused, we get the lawyers involved. They take it up. They take up the case. Then we have to report. We normally will report to the police. Once the case is reported to police, the lawyers take it over and will make sure that the child gets justice. We actually go to any length to make sure that the child is protected. You understand? But sometimes you will have people that have upper hands trying to frustrate the whole process. But thank God we have, most of the lawyers we have in contact, they are women.
They are very passionate.
They are passionate about children. They don't want to hear, you understand? Men can somehow be a bit lenient, but women, no.
Okay. So, Miss Justina, how do you, because some of these children, you know, when they have been abused, either physically or, you know, sexually or even psychologically, they don't speak out. You know, they tend to keep quiet because of, you know, fear. Some of them are being intimidated. If you know, tell anybody,
I'll kill you.
I'll do this. If you do this, I'll do that. Now, how can we recognize children who are currently going through abuse, sexual, physical, or psychological?
The first sign usually is that they become withdrawn. They no longer want to play with their peers. They seclude themselves, and then also academically they begin to perform poorly. These are like one of the first signs that you look out for. And when their abusers proceeded to a certain point, you begin to see physical signs of such abuse. Maybe in a female, in the body of a female, you begin to see physical signs, maybe pregnancy, maybe STDs, signs like that.
All right, now moving on, still talking about, you know, this area of child abuse, physical or otherwise. Now, I know that in some schools as well, we have teachers. Just recently, was it not today, I was reading a story and I was like, what is this? A child who was being abused, I think the boy is not up to 10 years old, who was being abused by a housemaster. And apparently the boy did not report because, you know, the housemaster threatened him and said, if you tell anybody this and that. Yes, but then I think the parents or somebody started to notice some of this, you know, symptoms that you talked about, withdrawal, this and that. And then eventually the boy was made to talk, and then he said, oh, it's this person and it's that person. And then we had the school trying to cover up for the housemaster. Now, these things happen in schools. These things happen in churches. Yeah. They happen in homes. Yeah. They happen everywhere. Yes. So what can we do to, I was going to say, save our children. Yeah. What can we do to protect our children? What can we do to protect our children? What are the measures that parents, teachers, guardians can put in place?
Okay, I think the first thing is to create awareness. As a parent, you just have to let your child know about these things. You understand? Let them know that they can be abused. They are not. No child is immune to child abuse, to child sexual abuse. No child is immune to it. It can happen anyway, like you rightly said now. So it is the duty of the parents to educate the child. You understand? And set boundaries. You get what I'm saying now? There's first of all the safety rules that we teach children. We tell them, okay, what parents you actually teach their kids. Let no one touch, let no one look, and let no one say anything to you about your private parts.
Don't touch me there.
Yes. Don't even look. Some will want to look. Some want to tell you about it. Hey, your penis is big, your penis is small. You understand all those kind of anything that has to do with saying, talking, looking. The private parts, we should teach the child that they should say no to it. They shouldn't do it to another child, and they should not allow another child or another adult to do it to them. Now, once we establish that rule and the child stick to it, if anybody is trying to do it, say no, then run away and report. There must be report. Even if the child does not report, it can be covered. You have to report so that measures can be taken to prevent further abuse. Then the parents, you also know that they are supposed to start early enough to start teaching the child about body boundaries. Nobody is supposed to touch you in your chest as a small girl. Nobody is supposed to touch you in your chest. Nobody is supposed to touch your private part. Nobody is supposed to touch your bum bum. We just start telling them as early as possible.
Now, how early is too early?
As long as the child can differentiate between his body parts. You understand? The parts of his body. You start telling them. once the child can form words and can communicate to you in a way you understand, and you can communicate with the child, you should start passing the message to that child. Because little ones are being abused. Little ones are being abused. So if they can communicate, they can talk to you, you teach them. If anybody touch you here, report. If you don't tell them, somebody will be touching, because the thing is confusing. Imagine you touching a child, a 2-year-old child, touching the child's private part. The first reaction is confusion. The child does not understand what you are doing to him or her. You understand? Also, that nobody should take pictures of their private parts, because we have pedophiles that are trading on pictures of children, their naked parts. They would ask the child, "Oh, come on, let me take picture of it." They would ask the child to take off the clothes, and they will take these pictures and put it online. They even sell the pictures. You understand? So we teach children, let nobody take pictures of your private parts. You shouldn't even get to that point. You understand?
Yeah.
Then we also teach them we also teach the kids, the younger ones now, how to prevent their own friends, those in their age group. You understand? To stay off their body, stay off their own private part, because most times the abuse doesn't come only from adults. It comes from minors, as in their age mates. Somebody in their class can abuse them.
Talking about that, I just remembered a particular scenario I witnessed. Now, it was of 2 children playing. Okay, their parents were having a meeting in church after service, and the 2 children were playing. And then, we just looked back. We were all having a meeting, and then we just looked back and saw the boy kissing the girl. These children are, let me just say, they are within the age range of like 2 years. I know the boy he was not yet 3 years old. This happened like a long time ago. And then, of course, they said, stop that, But then I got home and I started wondering what could be the cause of that.
What happened there?
Obviously, he's a child as well. Now, could that be as, I don't know, maybe as a result of movies? Or too much affection? Too much affection. So much affection because I want to get that right. We have plenty parents, mothers. We love our children, and then your child is going to school in the morning. You kiss your child, bye bye. Yes, you've not kissed mommy. Oh, you've not kissed daddy, and then it becomes normal for the child. Should these things also be stopped?
They should be discouraged. Not totally stopped, but like I would say, I have a little niece, and but okay. Just a little. For auntie, don't go and kiss someone in your class. It's not good. And there's sometimes maybe we are watching a movie and a kissing scene comes up, and maybe she'll turn and be like, "Auntie," I said, "No, don't kiss, don't kiss, don't kiss." All recently I was thinking about it. I was like, this thing, maybe I have to discourage this child from indulging in it. So it's just. There's really no clarity. That's one thing. You have to use your common sense most of the time. You can't say, okay, totally stop it. Don't show your child affection. No, we want them to grow up to be affectionate children, but just use your common sense. That's it.
See, sometimes it's not really most times it's not from what they see their parents do. Okay. It's from the movies they are exposed to. Most of the movies we have now that are exposed to our kids from,
At 2, 3,
they are pornographic in nature. You understand? You see people, the actors kissing, having sex, and you see the children will actually be watching it with the parents.
And a 2-year-old of nowadays.
And when
it's smart,
they will pick it from there and want to put it in action.
If a scene like that comes up on the TV, I know okay, maybe let's just take this in there. Let's just maybe put up the TV or do something else. Because they're very smart nowadays. So like maybe when we were growing, we're not that smart. But they're very smart. A 2-year-old understands things like this. I would even say when a child is 2 years, they're talking about things like have that sex talk. Just a bit. Just talk to them about their bodies.
Kissing is no.
So that's your advice for parents, for mothers.
Yes. Parents should watch what the kids are watching on TV. You understand? The parents should watch it. That's why they put parental guide on most of these movies. You should watch what the kids are watching. And sometimes even the stuff we have on our phones, and we give the children the phones to play with, and they'll be watching all those pictures and what have you. it also exposes the child to all this, and that will make them want to practice it on another child.
And we know that children, they like to practice what they see.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the stage.
Okay, now moving on, let's talk about, well, this there's physical violence, but it just came to my head that sometimes these days, just a couple of days ago, I was telling someone that I don't think that I would allow my daughter to watch the conventional cartoon channels that we have these days, because most of these cartoons and most of these children's show, they have a bit of violence in them. If you watch them, they're always fighting wars, or somebody is fighting with somebody, a clique is fighting with another clique, and that's where children start to learn malice and some of these things from. So just quickly, a bit of how do some of these programs, or maybe what they watch on net, affect them? How does it push them to also push the boundaries of physical abuse? Because we get to schools and we see children. Just a couple of days ago, my neighbor's children got home from school and the boy was crying. Why are you crying? Somebody from behind just slapped me. What did you do? Nothing. They got to school the next day and asked them, why did you slap him? And they filmed my watch yesterday. The boy used to slap the other boy, and I said, let me try it.
Okay, you see, we humans, we have this tendency of being programmed by what we see, and it's so the effect it has on the child is even more. Because we as adults, we can choose what we want to retain when we see something, but the child, most times, they don't know what is wrong and what is right. So when they are exposed to these pictures, these movies, the clips they see from movies, the violent pictures, the pictures has a way of programming them, you understand? And that programming now make the child to want to act in that same way. They don't see anything wrong in it because nobody told them that this is wrong. You understand? So they want to act it. They watch wrestling. Somebody carried one person and hit the person on the floor, and even mommy and daddy will clap, and they was like, yeah, they will encourage.
The other one.
Good. They will go to the school and do the same thing during break time. You understand? That okay, they want somebody to encourage them the way they encouraged that man I saw on TV when he carried somebody else and threw him on the ground, and people were clapping, cheering him up. They want somebody to do that to them, so they will carry another person and want. It has its own effects. What they see program them, and they want to hurt it.
All right. So this data I have from APA.org talks about why child maltreatment happens. Here we are talking about the physical and the psychological/emotional abuse. And it says sometimes it could be as a result of the fact that the parent was abused and it's continuing the cycle. Also, they say it could be about unrealistic expectations about children's behavior and capabilities. It could also be as a result of drug or alcohol abuse. Now, for children who currently are facing child maltreatment, of course, it's not in every state in the country that we have organizations like yours. Okay, some people are not in Ibadan. Some people even have no idea that there are some organizations, while some of them are unable to reach some of these organizations. So for the average child, what is the process like? If a child has been abused, say for instance I'm a teenager and I'm facing either physical abuse or sexual abuse at home, what is the process? What should I do? Where do I go from there?
Okay. The first thing, if the abuse is coming from home, somebody within the family, we encourage the child to report to the teacher in school.
Teacher in school.
You understand? And most times the teacher might not take any decision. Like I was telling the kids today, like you see those police women that are on the road, if you have been reporting, because the child actually answered that question, and I said if you have been reporting to everybody and nobody is answering you, when you see those police women on the road, go and report to them. You understand? The police people actually have the duty to protect the child by law. So if the child report to the teacher and no solution is coming, report to the pastor in the church, like if he or she is a Christian, or report to the imams, and no solution is coming, and you cannot get any NGO that you can report to, then go to the police. You can see them, you see police all over the place. Just stop woman. If you're a girl, you will feel more comfortable reporting to a female police officer.
Yeah.
You understand? Report to the person. Please, I'm being abused. And any right sensible police woman that is being approached by a young girl that she's been abused, she will take it up. You understand? She will take it up.
Now,
Then,
okay.
then I want to say from there the process can, because the
Continue.
police will definitely get lawyers to represent the
child.
child in the courts. Yeah.
Now that's the scenario for a child. Let's talk about for adults. Let me put it this way: an uncle molests a boy child, a young boy of about 4 years old, 5 years old, and the family, comes together. When the mother tries to say, this, and then the family comes together, they say, okay, the uncle says it will not happen again, and they say, we are sorry, and let's keep it within the family. In that kind of situation, what should, the father is also saying, okay, he's my brother, so let's keep it in the family, let's not report. In that kind of situation, how, does the mother go about reporting?
The mother shouldn't keep quiet. If the mother keep quiet, or even the child keep quiet, that uncle will molest another child. You see, child sexual abuse thrive in secrecy. When it's not being reported, you do it to a child and nothing comes out of it. You want to do it again. You understand? To another child, or you continue with the same victim. You understand? So mothers shouldn't keep quiet because it will continue. You understand? It will continue. So the mother should report. The best place to go in our Nigeria setting now, go to the police. But we know police also can be bribed. Then
You can say it's a family matter. Like, you can settle it at home.
The police saying that
Well, we never can tell. We never can say what will happen, right? But of course, parents should, mothers should please go report. That's the
yes, they should report. They shouldn't keep quiet, because if you keep quiet, you are damaging a whole lot. It's a string. You understand?
Yeah.
It will continue. The idiot will continue to do it on another child and continue like that and like that, and a lot of lives will be damaged. A child that you abused as early as 4, there's every tendency that the consequence of that abuse can continue to journey in life with him all through his lifetime.
Okay, moving away from parents reporting and all that, what about children or teenagers who find it very difficult to open up, speak up to anybody? Somebody's sexually harassing them or doing whatever, and they just don't want to say it to anybody. Some children are shy. Some people they feel like, well, if I tell somebody, something might happen to me. What should happen in that case?
If you know, maybe as a teacher or as a caregiver, you know that the child is being abused and the child does not want to talk.
Okay.
The best thing you could do to that child is to show the child love.
Okay.
You understand? Because for the child to bottle up, there is the issue of fear. You understand? I don't want, there's the issue of fear and denial. The child does not want people to say, okay, you are telling lies, or the child might have even report initially and somebody say keep quiet, you don't know what you are saying. You understand? That might even make the child never to say anything again. So if you are a caregiver and you find that a child is being abused, the best thing is to show that child love. The more you bring the child close, not trying to talk. This is not the case of you probing and trying to be journalistic, asking questions. The more you are trying to come in that way, the child will be withdrawing. Okay. But just show the child love. When the right kind of love. The right kind of love. Yeah. When the child gets comfortable with you, a time will come, it will spill it out.
And that's where parents come in too. You should develop a very close relationship with your children, so that they will come to you. You should be close enough to them, so that you know that you are the first person they call in case of things like that. So I personally, I think I have an experience with that. Maybe someone tried to abuse me sexually when I was quite young, and I did not say anything. And I think so just a couple of months back, and we're talking about this issue of Busola Dakolo, and then I mentioned it to my mom that, do you know this man? And all those times that we were forcing, it was like, yeah, it wasn't a church pastor, but I think it was a church secretary. And as at that period, he wanted me to make me leave my own church and start attending his own church. And my mom was always encouraging me. And as at that time, I was like really serious. I wanted to sing in the choir and everything. And he was encouraging me. But because of she did not. She wasn't even aware of what I was going through. But if I told her, that would have been maybe a solution, at least a first step towards healing or something. But I did not say that, and I got to it up for a very, very, very long time. So that's just it. Try as much as possible to develop a good relationship with your children. It's very necessary. That is in the home first. That is where you, at least anything child sexual abuse, please, you have to nip it in the bud at home first before we start saying the society. So parents, we really have a lot of things to do.
And I guess this is the point where I would say also that for parents, I know back then it used to be a thing like, as a parent, if you tell your child, go to this place, your child should also want to go to that place. But then I read something, I was also just on the internet surfing, and I saw something about, World Day Against Child Sexual Abuse. And then they wrote and said, you need to start taking notice of some things about your children. If your child used to go to a particular church before, and all of a sudden you realize that the child does not want to go there again, you need to be concerned. If your child that used to love going to school all of a sudden starts to have a phobia for school, like when you say it's time to go to school, and then the child becomes withdrawn, the grades are falling, then you need to take cognizance of some of these things. If your child used to do this before, and all of a sudden, or they start avoiding somebody. I know that one is very common. Yeah. The child used to, someone comes to visit you, and every time the person comes, the child is running away. You need to take cognizance of that. And so, yes, after a long tradition of silence, child sexual abuse, child physical abuse, and psychological abuse is being more denounced, and it's becoming a public topic, and we will not keep quiet on it. We've been talking so far so good with Mr. CYRIL ISI and Miss Justina Odege. Today is November 19, and it's the World Day. There's always a World Day for anything. And so today,
if there's any issue that if you get a World Day, I think it is child abuse.
I think it should even get more than one.
It's an epidemic that needs to be nipped.
And together we need to create a culture of prevention.
Yes.
All right. So
before we wrap it up, there's something we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about rape. Some people have passed the stage of, it's trying to. They're already in the act. Somebody has raped them already. So now let's talk about preventions for people that, are on this line, like, okay, what should I do so that I don't get raped? The precautions and all that we need to know so that young teenagers and children don't even get raped.
Or even how to, I'm working on a project, or even, so that's where I'm bringing this question from. How to identify potential predators.
Potential raper.
Okay. You see, when it comes to rape, most times you cannot say when and where it will happen.
Okay.
But you can prevent it. That is what we are preaching. For the teenager, most especially, we say don't stay in an isolated place with a male folk or a boy. Like you are in the room all alone with a boy. You should try to avoid it. Okay. You understand? We will always say, if the person is not your father, don't stay alone with him. Most especially if the person is an adult, a man, an adult. It could be your teacher or neighbor or anybody. As long as it's not your father, don't stay alone with him. That way you will be preventing rape. That is one. Then if you happen also to go for outings like parties with your friends, you have to watch your surrounding. That is number one. And also your drink, if they give you a drink, you have to watch the drink to make sure that they don't put something inside. because that is the quickest shortcut predators use.
Yeah, and it's
If they can slip something into your drink,
You fall asleep.
you fall asleep and they take advantage of you. It's not only in the party, even let's say you go
In your
pay
house.
somebody visit, they also do it. That is the easiest way to rape a girl. So you always watch whatever is given to you, most especially the drink. You understand? So that they don't slip something into it. Then when you are alone with a male friend, for a girl now, and the male friend started making advances at you, you understand? Like coming close, want to touch you in a sexual way, you should learn to say no and leave. You might not even say no, like know that I don't want what you are doing. No, you can use stylishly tell the person, can I use the gents?
Just excuse yourself.
A way of excusing yourself. Then when you find a way of getting out of that place, you run for your life. You don't wait. Don't forget about what. Just run for your life. If you can get out of that, because when a boy is aroused, they are thinking it's not right again, or a predator now, or a pedophile. You understand? So they have just one goal to make sure they get down or have sex with you, either by force or by consent.
There will not be an issue of consent anymore because
Now, so once you can find an excuse, please, I want to use the toilet, or I want to get something, you just from there move. If you cannot move, there's also another thing we say. You should develop a kind of code with either your mother. Like, let's say when you find yourself in a situation that you know something terrible is about to happen and there's no way of escape. If you have a good rapport with your mother, you can just call your mother. Maybe two of you already have agreed on a quota. You can just call your mother and say, please, I need coke. And when you tell your mother that I need coke, your mother understands that you are in a situation where they want to rape you. You understand? That could be a coded word that two of you use. You just say it. Call your mother, or it could be a friend, or it could be anybody you have that good connection with. Then once you call, they can now come for your rescue. The person might have shut the door and hold the key. But if you quickly take that action, you might just be saving yourself, getting external help.
Now, looking at all the answers, because I don't want us to, just look to one side at this point. We need to also recognize that boys are being abused.
As well. Yeah.
Boys are being abused.
We seem to ignore that all the time.
And I think it's more now like most boys don't want to speak up that they're being abused because of shame.
Yes. No, it's like, how can I say?
Men, they have to be strong.
A man, you have to be strong.
That is what this is society.
And that can be, we all know that can be psychological damaging. So,
boys will not talk. You understand? Even the ones in boarding school that are being abused by their seniors. Got this government boarding school. That is where you have this homosexual heart very prevalent. They will not talk because when they've been threatened, you understand, and the teachers will not do anything. But for you as a boy, you can prevent it. Sometimes even you might not be able to prevent because in that kind of school system, they will always get at you. You understand? But the best way is to talk. When you find your way home, talk. Once you discover these things, talk. Tell one teacher. If the teacher is not responding, tell another teacher. And that is why parents, when you are taking your child to a boarding school, apart from putting it,
talk. Most of them, they don't know.
Yeah.
Like you see a little boy going to school maybe by 8 years, and he's not even aware that that sort of thing
that kind of thing can happen, that a male can abuse him.
I think anyway, I'm happy now that that narrative is changing.
It's changing
all
gradually.
The schools that we've been to, I'm even surprised. Do they know this? Okay, what is homosexual? And this is this. I'm like, oh really? Yeah, now they're getting taught. Because this thing is just so rampant, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't talk to your children about it. They already know that, in a way, they already know. If they don't hear it from you, they will hear it outside. And the thing is that maybe the information they might be passing to them from outlets. Yes, a very distorted version. So the thing is, as parents, you just have to talk. You have to have this talk with them. Me, I always say, from 2 years, please have that talk. You know, just like a very simplified version. But then every day you try to reiterate it, like, oh, okay, what did I say yesterday? Don't touch, don't do this, don't, like, every day. Then when they are 3, you move it a step higher, then 4, then 5, then until they are old enough to get the whole talk. Because you'll be doing yourself a disservice and say, oh, I'll just leave it to the school, or I'll leave it to it has to be first from the home.
All right. I believe, do you have any last words for children, teenagers listening to you right now? And parents as well. I even feel like that's more important.
Yes. I think for the parents, I would say, please talk to your kids about this issue of child abuse. They are not too young. You may be having this feeling that, okay, a proprietor, I went to a proprietor to introduce what we do in schools, and I want to talk to them. And the proprietor was like, these things, they don't know about it. If you are coming to say it now, you are going to make them to know it. So I was like, don't say they don't know it. Let's put the information right. They already have a distorted information. Let's put it right. So the parents should be encouraged. Parents, please talk to your words, talk to your kids, and be close to them, so that when you discover any signs of abuse, you can dig further, to stop it. Then for those that are being abused, you are not alone. Please speak up, report. You can reach us or any NGO that advocates for children or teenagers, and then we come to your aid if nobody is coming to your aid.
All right. During the course of other programs, we are actually out of time right now. But during the course of other programs, we will definitely, give out information on how to get back to you, how to reach you. We do programs like Teens Lounge and program for children, Homefront. All right. So we'll definitely sensitize children and teenagers more about this topic. Thank you so much, Sama, for coming on the show. Our guests today have been Mr. CYRIL and Miss Justina from TotalChild Children and Teens Network. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So my name is Dibukun Blessed Oyedemi.
And I'm Bolanle Udrekwayola. Look out for more exclusive interviews on Wells Radio, your preferred wholesome radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.